So I imagine many of you have seen about the plane crash we had if you live here in the United States, and it got me thinking about driving, not totally related, but just the fact that we haven't had a major commercial airplane hit anything, I think in like 14 or 15 years. The United States hasn't had an accident like that where, if you don't know about it, it's 2 or 3 days ago, a Black Hawk helicopter hit a commercial plane flying into Washington, D.C. at Reagan Airport. And you just think about how those major plane disasters hardly ever happen, but I think about the stress of driving, and it was one of the reasons why I didn't want to go back up and work in the effing tourist town anymore, because you have to deal with the crazy people, the driving. A lot of people are just crazy driving, and I'm sure it goes on all over the world in places, but it'll just drive you mad. You can tell a lot about a person, I feel like, even though you don't see them really in the car or know them or anything, by their driving habits. A lot of times you can tell their behavior. If they act crazy in their vehicle, driving with rage everywhere they go, speeding everywhere they go, trying to get everywhere they can go with no patience, then they likely live chaotic in probably most areas in their life. But driving's just dangerous anyway, and that's why I was comparing it to airplanes. I like to fly, actually. It's funny because many years ago, like, I was terrified of it. And I haven't flown a ton in my life, but when I have, once I did a couple of times, I ended up enjoying it. There's an atmosphere in airports, I feel like, now, going through security checks and stuff like that. I mean, that sucks, but other than that, there's a certain vibe. It's like in certain airports, they're like cities onto themselves. They have an energy to them. I've been to Chicago O'Hare, and I've been to LAX, and I've flown overseas to Sweden. I've flown into Denmark. Different airports, little airports too, like in Knoxville, and I think I flew into Memphis at night. So I mean, but all these places, they just have an energy onto themselves. And flying has an energy unto itself. But I feel like it's still so much safer, and statistically, it has been proven to be safer than driving, where they're killed every day. They're killed every day in wrecks and accidents, and people hitting each other, and people on drugs or drunk driving, or any number of mishaps, because you got these multi-$1,000 or, well, yeah, vehicles do cost thousands of dollars. But I was thinking of these vehicles that weigh thousands of pounds out there, thousands of them, and you can be as safe as you want to be, but it's really the other people you're really having to worry about. If you're being safe and you're doing what's in your control, you still have to worry about all those other people. Now, if I go back many years, I will say I was one of the people you would have had to worried about. I used to drive crazy because I've lived chaotically throughout my life. I've discussed that in other videos. I used to not take care of vehicles either. I would just drive them into the ground, not properly take care of them. When I started driving, my late teens and my 20s, a lot of times I didn't properly take care of a vehicle and tear them up. Probably many times I should have died in a vehicle too. I've been in a couple of wrecks, and I've just been fortunate. But yeah, I drive crazy, going 80, 90, could have went off embankments on interstates, or was one of these annoying people on the road that you would deal with, swerving in and out of traffic. Had to get to the places faster than anyone. Had to be cool, thinking I'm cool because I'm driving fast. I'm trying to I'm getting around everybody, or I'm with friends that are acting, maybe they kind of act that way or whatever. Just stupid shit, basically. It's just pretentious bullshit. People do this stuff, and a lot of times they usually are doing it for reasons that in the scheme of things don't really matter. So nowadays, though, and for many years I've drove a lot more careful. I'm not one to I'm not speeding everywhere. I mean, do I go about 5 over the limit or so? Yeah, sure. But, that keeps you within a range of being able to see everything ahead of you. I'm not getting on people's asses. That's just stupid. Yeah, I'm not getting upset because someone's going the speed limit. It's just stupid. I mean, it's just ridiculous to try to intimidate other drivers on the road. This is what a lot of people do, and it's annoying. It's extremely annoying how people think they have the right to get into your space like that too on the road, and try to intimidate you to go faster or intimidate you to move out of their way. Like, again, pretentious bullshit that people do, thinking their own importance is so much higher than everybody else. It's just dumb. But this is one of the things that burned me out with society. It was one of those things with everything I had been going through and still go through. It was one of those things that, man, it just burned me out. Tonight I have my wolf. I've probably had this cup before. But anyway, getting back to the drivers, it's just one of those things that burned me out in society, and for many years now, I don't drive crazy. I don't try to rush to get anywhere. Even through everything I've been through, if I do have to go to a job, if I want to go somewhere, I like to get there early usually. So I'll leave in plenty of time to anticipate traffic issues, to anticipate things that can happen on the road where you're stopped for something because there's a road crew doing something or whatever's going on. There's all kinds of things that can go on. Wrecks happen. Any number of things that could delay you. It's just best, in my mind, and it's been proven right so many times, just to leave early. And I've had managers at jobs, even the manager at my current job at the adult store, he said, "Oh, you're early." And he notices that I get there early, but he agrees with why I do it. He's like, "Yeah, I like to do the same thing. I'm not fighting with traffic. I'm not stressed because I left my home at the last minute to get to where I need to be." See, and that's what happens. People get out on the road. A lot of times they're just rushing. Everything's a rat race. And if you watch people in society are like sheep in so many ways. They do want to do what everybody else is doing. They don't stand on their own and do their own thing half the time. It includes driving. They will follow. I could be at a red light, right? Turn left onto a road. Let's just say I'm going down a highway. Cars were stopped at the other red light. I'm on up the road. I might be going probably 5 over the speed limit. These cars, all in unison, most of them catch up to me and pass me. I mean, okay, so that means they are going well over the speed limit. They're all following each other like sheep. But what is hilarious about this, if there's a cop, you feel the entitled attitude with a lot of these people. But then if there's a cop, what do? They act like you're wrong in a way. I think people have it in their mind, oh, you're not following what everybody else is doing. But as soon as they see that cop, you see all these brake lights. Because why is that? It's because they know they're in the wrong and they could get pulled over and get a ticket. And it's just funny to me how that happens. But otherwise, a lot of these people act entitled and act like you're in some way not doing right by just driving fucking normal. I mean, let's just say it. You're just doing what's in the norm of actually, you're just not following what everybody else is. So it's just something I notice, and these people know what they're doing because they'll slow down at that point. But then as soon as they get past this cop, they're gonna do it again. Um, and I have to drive up now that I don't go into the tourist town, it is a lot less stressful for me. I drive up a couple of 2-lane roads mostly to go over to Knoxville to where I work now. But still, you get a person behind you right on your ass, and they'll come charging up on you right on your ass, and they think they're almighty, you better move out of their way, or you better go faster. No, that doesn't happen with me. I mean, I'm not trying to cause trouble with anybody, but at the same time, no, I don't let people intimidate me like that. I'm doing what's in at the actual norm. But I guess I just bring all this up because driving and so many other things, people just they're either trying to impress each other, or trying to keep up with each other, they're so scared of doing their own thing, being their own, having their own autonomy, and just being who they are, and whatever, that they do things like that. And I'm just thinking it's just totally absurd. So anyway, let me know what you think. It's funny because when I was in Sweden, I think it was probably the same, though I loved the peace over there of not having to drive. And my ex had a vehicle, but she explained to me she rarely drove, if at all, because she just didn't like to do it, I don't think. And I could understand, but over there, the public transit was so good. The public transit, I remember, this is 2019. It probably is more money now, but it was like $90 for like a card you would get that got you on the buses, the ferries, trams, any of the public transportation. And the public transportation there is set up in such a way that as long as you're near, I'm sure if you're in a rural area, it's like here in the United States, it's better to have your vehicle to drive. But the big cities like Stockholm, they've got it set up in such a way that it's clean. The subways are clean, buses, all that stuff's so clean, and everything felt so safe because they don't have near the violence we have in our country, and the gun violence they've had some violent things, but nothing near what we experience here on a daily basis in our country. So everything to me felt ultra safe over there and clean. The subways are really clean too. Here in America, I mean, it's like you're going on some kind of adventure if you want to try to get on the subway. I mean, you could, seriously get hurt. Somebody might try to injure you, or any number of things. In New York City, homeless people sleep on the subways and down in the subway areas. It's just not safe. But in Stockholm, not only were the subways extremely safe, everything was just much more clean there than I'm used to seeing over here. As far as, there's garbage and stuff, but it just wasn't near everything. Everything just seemed so much more clean and everything when I was over there, because I'm sure the people living over there, they don't notice it as much, but somebody who's never been there, coming from the United States, you just notice a lot of things. But as far as driving a vehicle, we got in a cab from the airport back to where she lived, and yeah, I could notice. Driving's driving. People, I would say you had the same types of people that act in the same ways. And it's probably like that around the world, where you have people that do these same behaviors that I was talking about earlier over here, the way they drive and the way they act, and the craziness of it all. But that public transit system over there just was amazing to me, because you could just literally get anywhere in a timely manner, and they have it all set up around there where you can walk from one place to the other pretty easily. Yeah, it was just amazing. But Anyway, yeah, just thought I'd talk about that because of the plane crash. And it's like, I still think planes are, even with that, because it's so many years between those accidents, I just think they'll learn from it, whatever happened there, but they're still much safer. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later on.